On this episode of the Layover Live, Paul stops by to talk word counts effects on SEO.
Word count, huh? What's that all about?
Yeah, I don't know, but this thing seems to care.
Well, word count. Webster's defines word count as the number of words in a piece. And a piece, of course, is really just a continuous long block of words that are all composed, hopefully, around the same subject. Now, if you want to write a piece...
Okay, now we're just keyword stuffing.
Well, thanks, Google.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by our Director of BI, Paul McLeod. So, Paul, welcome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I know we had a little word count going there, and had a little fun. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But something that comes up all the time is the subject of word count. We get asked this question all the time. There's a ton of articles on it. One of the articles we want to talk about this week, which is our featured article of the week, comes from Search Engine Journal, where it talks about word count and its effects on SEO, because there's a lot of misnomers out there. But even before we get into that, Paul, let's talk about how Google evaluates content quality just in general.
Yeah, I mean, that's people want to know word counts because they want to have a nice, simple rule for how to write quality content that Google will
Wouldn't
like.
that be great? Yes.
But the thing to remember is that really Google is smarter than thinking about just like numbers and comparing one to another, at least simple numbers like that. So what we try to tell people is that Google really just is doing everything they can to understand content the way that humans do. And when you do that, I mean, you never sit down and say, wow, this piece has 2,000 words. I guess it's better than the one that had 1,800. In fact, you might think it's worse. So typically we tell people focus on things that would make a human like the content, like being well written, being engaging, funny, scary, whatever, depends on the subject.
Yeah, sticking to a particular topic. And
yeah, exactly.
Off,
informative,
right?
well organized, broken up into bites. All those things are really good.
Okay, so then how does word count then fit into all that?
Yeah, so word count, I think the best way to think about it is not so much I need to hit this number, but have I said everything interesting there is to say well about this topic? Obviously that's fuzzy. Obviously not everybody's good at that. If you remember reading any of your classmates' like essays in high school, it's not natural to everybody. But we're marketers and we're in the website mastering business, so hopefully we have some writing ability and we can generally tell when we've done a good job of writing something or not. So I mean, when we, in our State of Search report, we have a whole section on writing content for SEO. And in that we provide some guideline numbers. A blog post should be, I forget the number, but it's around 500 words. A landing page should have at least around 200 words, things like that. And then listings should have thus and so. But even those are just guidelines to help you decide like, did it make sense to even turn this subject into a blog post? If I can't get 500 words out of it, maybe it should have been a Facebook post or something like that.
Okay, you kind of touched on the guidelines a little bit, so let's go into that a little bit. What are some, generally speaking, guidelines then we should take as we're writing this? Because there's blog content, there's listings, there's a million other pieces of content that are out there. What are some general guidelines we should be looking at then as best we can, right? Because there's no steadfast rule of what it should be, right? Just because something has, to your point, 1,000 words or 2,000 words doesn't necessarily mean it's going to rank well and vice versa. So maybe what are some general guidelines?
I mean, so ideally for a listing or an event detail, you would have a paragraph or two, whatever it takes. If you're going on longer than that, you should probably be making a landing page at that point. For a landing page with like listings and so forth on it, you want at least a good paragraph, 2 to 4 sentences, something like that, because you can get those keywords in there. Obviously, all the listings content also helps you out there. But it's less about the number of words and more about having the opportunity to say things like hotels in Tucson and so forth. Right. And then for an article or a blog post, I mean, if they're really short, you might consider, did I need to post this at all? Am I going to get any traction out of it? If they're under 500 words. But 500 words and up, there's, the sky's the limit. Maybe once you're at 3,000 words, it should be 3 pages instead of 1, but there's no particular reason you can't keep talking as long as you have good stuff to say.
And we're staying on topic and to that point, right? So I think the general rule is it comes down to what are we talking about and what's the end user doing to consume this content, right?
Exactly.
If it's a listing, naturally that doesn't take as much content because
Yeah.
they're looking for specific quick information about a particular topic or a place or an attraction, whatever it may be at that time. If we're talking about a blog post or article that may be more in depth, that probably requires a little bit more content. To your point, where if it's a really in-depth piece,
Yeah.
chunking that out because we live in a mobile first world and breaking that into 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of content probably makes the most sense at that time, right?
And it allows you to rank better for like specific longer tail keywords if you have separate URLs for subtopics and so forth.
The key is not writing content for the sake of writing content and just blabbling on about something, being very focused and specifically answering a question based on that query or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I basically would never calculate the word content on a piece I was writing. I would just look at it, and if it seems way too long or it seems really short, the exact number doesn't really matter.
Right, and from time to time, I know we've quoted things here and there, but again, it's very general. When we generally speak, or analysts talk about things, we generally speak, hey, it should fall between X and Y. However, it really depends. What are you trying to reach? What's the content about? All of those different things. So there's no steadfast rule. The article talks about those things, talks about what you should be focusing on. So really good stuff. So Paul, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for tuning in each and every week. If you're not subscribed, please do so now. We're also available through Spotify and through iTunes if you want to consume us through podcasts. So thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. See you next time. Have a great day.